Hey guys, welcome to 6 Minutes for Thursday, May 26th. We are talking NHSCA Duals this weekend in Virginia Beach. Want to address yesterday though, the plan was to talk a little bit about the new bill in South Carolina related to women's wrestling, but I reached out to the rep who put the bill forward. I reached out to the SCHSL. I reached out to women in wrestling. I've reached out to pretty much everyone to kind of give me a sense of kind of what this bill means, what the requirements are, kind of what the process is. I wasn't able to get much of a response. I wasn't able to get any response from anyone. So if I get a response in the future, we'll do a 6 minutes about that. But for the time being, we move on to NHSCA Duals, which happens Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And let's jump right into it. We begin with the National Duals format. So on day one, each of the teams are placed into pools, which has already happened. We'll talk a little bit about that later on. Day two, based upon their performance on day one, they get placed into another set of pools, and from there it's kind of a fight of attrition to see who gets to advance to day three, and day three is the championship pools. So the Southeast has is represented quite well. But before we get to that, let's jump to the national seeds done by Willie Saylor and Matt Scout. He had this formula. You can see it on Rockfin if you're interested. As you can see, this is 1 through number 16. Team Shut, Maddie S., which makes me think of Maddie Singleton, but I don't think that that's the case, is the number 1 seed. You can see all the way down. But the thing that I want to kind of highlight on this, of the top 16, there are no true Southeast teams in this group, but everyone that has an asterisk, according to the latest rosters, and I want to make sure that this is very clear, these rosters change all the time. In fact, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and the roster was in flux. Kids moving in, kids moving out, kids going to wrestle for a different team, so on and so forth. So what I'm going to share in the 6 minutes today is my best guess of who is wrestling where. All right? So at the moment, these 5 teams that are ranked in the top 16 have at least a member from the Southeast, a wrestler from the Southeast on their team, and we'll kind of highlight some of that as well. Let's now jump to the actual Southeast teams, because this is where these are teams that are made up predominantly of Southeast, or exclusively of Southeast kids. I have Noke Wrestling RTC at the top. We're actually going to wait on that for just a second. I put it at the top because I didn't want to forget, but I want to talk about that last. Roundtree, Black and Blue. Black team has quite a team put together. Mills Brothers, Jaden Morris, Dominic Bambinelli, a couple Florida kids thrown in there. You got Logan Eller. So this Blue Stifler, you got kids that are normal Roundtree kids. You also have a couple of ringers that were brought in at a couple of weights to kind of help fill some spots. Roundtree Black will be a really interesting team to watch. Roundtree Blue, also has some really, really good kids. JoJo Morris, Lee Camp, a number of different kids that it'll be interesting to see how they wrestle as well. Now, progressing through this is a dual tournament. So it's going to be, you're going to get the level of competition based upon your kids and or based upon how your team does. So, it'll just be really interesting. You won't see everybody in the tournament. This has got a ton of high school boys in the duals, or high school teams high school aged kids in this tournament. So it'll be interesting. Jumping down, RL Roughnecks have a bunch of North Carolina kids on their team. I think it's a combination of them and maybe Pennsylvania. So that's one to watch. Combat Athletics especially the black team, is ranked or seeded 21, and they have a number of really. They have a really good team. Matt Rowland, Dylan Pepin, Drew Pepin, Davis Freeze, Cage Williams, Carson Floyd. I could go on and on and on. There's no way in the world I'm going to be able to name everybody, but that'll be really interesting to see how Combat Athletics Black does. Red team as well. Be interesting to see how they do. MF Purge, Morse Fitness Purge. Bunch of Mount Pisgah kids on the Purge 1 squad. I believe that we have McKnight wrestling on one of those two teams. Marley Washington, Tyler Nelson. I might be wrong about McKnight. I'm not 100% sure. I put all the rosters, from what I can tell, up onto the website, so you guys can kind of go through those and see who's listed currently. The Raleigh Athletic Club. Raw has got a really good a team put together. Barracuda, if you're not aware, they're basically the Jensen Beach team that won 1A in Florida, minus Sebastian De Janeiro, who has been picked up by another team. Florida Tropics, Miami Elite, and then Mid-Tennessee Maulers. And the Mid-Tennessee Maulers, I got to see a lot of those kids this past weekend when I was up at the Best of the Best Duals, and it'll be interesting to watch them compete. You got the Urachucks down below. You got Rourke, Kason Rourke, Stephen Dindle, Chancery Dean. Mid-Tennessee Maulers are going to be really tough down low. We'll see how the top end does and how the team does as a whole to be able to stay competitive. The other team that I should actually make a mention of is the Illinois Menace Thunder, which is a lot of Georgia kids. I think we've got Latrell Schaefer, we've got Tyler Sequoy, a couple other kids down low, combined with, I guess, a bunch of Illinois kids to make up that team. So that'll be really interesting to watch as we move forward. Also want to bring up, this is a list of the ringers. I was going to call them, hired guns or things along those lines, but given the events of this past week, I don't want to have a graphic that says something like that. Some people might get upset. It's certainly not meant to upset anyone. But these are kids who basically didn't necessarily have a team, and somebody, a coach called them up and said, "Hey, we want you. I need this spot filled, and this is an opportunity for you to come in." Hope Hogan right now is listed with the number 1 ranked team at 182. Team Shot Penguin, which is number 3, has Monteperto, Colin Duple, and Gianni Maldonado. Team Shut has Cooper Haas and Sebastian De Janeiro. It looks like Carson Duple moved over. Luke Cochran is listed. And I want to bring it up again because Luke Cochran, there's a lot. None of the kids in Flow Wrestling or on Flow Arena are listed with a state. So how many Luke Cochrans are there out there? Probably quite a few. How many are wrestling 195? Less than quite a few, but still there's going to be some. So if this is wrong and that's a different Luke Cochran, I apologize. There are kids that I wasn't 100% sure. Chase Thompson from Florida, a number of other kids that I wasn't 100% sure of whether they were our Southeast kids or if they were from somewhere else. I already mentioned the Illinois Menace Thunder with Schaefer and Sequoy. You've got Austin Thiel, Davis Dollar. That's going to be a really interesting team to watch. And then you get this list of others down the side. And really, you're talking about like 1, 2 kids, 3 kids on program or on teams, and we'll be tracking them. Those are the ones I'm going to go watch. Brady Conlon and Nelson Toro are on the same team. Rob Atwood is on a team by himself. Zion Hall and Matt Waddell are on teams together. JJ Peace, 113. Brady Ross, Maddox MacArthur. Those are all on separate teams. You got a couple of North Carolina kids in there, and Alex Hopper and Nathan Carnes, as well as down low with Sam Grana, Aspen Talbot, Ethan Brownlee, and Luke Connick. You got some Florida kids down at the bottom. You see Anderson Heap in there. Reed Noble. You've got a ton of kids who are going to get an opportunity to help out various teams. So again, I'll try to provide the list up on the thing. So if you're really interested in watching a particular wrestler compete, you can figure out where they are competing and track that information down. All right, so let's jump into what to watch. What to watch tomorrow, because we can't project beyond tomorrow. Pretty much 3 different sessions, 8, 9:30, and 11. Pool 2, Pool 3, and Pool 7 these are mostly Southeast teams. I didn't identify the single individual that might happen to be on a team of who to watch, but Morse Fitness Purge 2, Pool 2, they begin action. Combat Red begins action. You see Shut Penguin, who has a couple of Southeast kids on it there as well. Team Shut, Pool 7, Michigan Pitbulls. Several of those North Carolina kids are competing for Michigan Pitbulls. Not sure how that worked out, but yeah, so those 3 pools will definitely be pools to watch in the early session. The afternoon session, 12:30, 2, and 3:30, we have quite a few. Barracuda, Raw, and Miami Elite share Pool 9. Pool 11 has that Illinois Menace Thunder team that's got a ton of Georgia kids on it. Roundtree Blue, Combat Black in Pool 21. Pool 23 has Morse Fitness Purge. We also have one other, and this is my opportunity to talk about that Noke Black team, which I found to be fascinating. This is really interesting. So we got 2 Southeast kids on this Noke Black team. Mark Samuel and Cameron Cavens from Tennessee. But the vast majority of their team are incoming or have signed with Roanoke for this coming year. So you have a potential to see, we're talking like 10 of the 14 weight classes. You have an opportunity to see the future of, or a potential future lineup for Roanoke on the mat this weekend as they wrestle in Pool 25 with Law Tyson, Cyclones, and Patent Red. And then the evening session, the 5 to 6:30 and the 8 for day 1, Shut Nation, Shut USA, the RL Roughnecks, a couple of those North Carolina kids. Shut USA has a bunch of Florida kids. Roundtree Black, I'm really interested to see how they do. I think they're going to fare very well. Kind of fun that they're in the, probably I think the best name for a club team in the tournament, Fear the Beard. They'll get them. And then Pool 43 with Mid-Tennessee Maulers will take on Iron Bear and Gold Medal and Granby Rollers. So ton going on. There will be tons of matches. It'll be live streamed on Flow Wrestling. The brackets are in Flow Arena. After day 1, we'll have a better sense of who gets pushed into different pools for day 2. Individual matchups, I'm hoping that I won't do a 6 minutes on it. I've already talked too long as it is. But I'm hoping that on the website I can identify a few individual matches. And then back on Monday, because this is the last one for this week, we'll break it down, talk a little bit about how the Southeast teams did as a whole, and more importantly, we'll talk about any big matchups, big wins, and how a few kids, we'll never get to tell everyone, how they did up at NHSCA Duals. Thanks for listening today, and I hope you guys have a great week. For those of you traveling to Virginia Beach, please be safe on your travels to and from, and have a great time. You guys take care. Bye.